And we are live.
Hi, this is Mai Constantino with Super Livestreams, and today we are talking about some exciting projects, and I'll be talking to the founders, Maxi Collier and Shater Collier, and we'll be talking about what they're working on and their background.
Thank you, Maya.
Hi, thank you so much. So wonderful to talk with you today about these exciting things that are going on.
Yes,
absolutely.
Indeed. Yes. So Maya, you know, I asked you to do this quick interview for us because you've been really looking out, helping us do a lot of great editorial work, you know, these past few weeks. And some folks would think when we say editorial, with us being documentary filmmakers and video producers, that we're talking about video editorial. But in this case, I'm talking about traditional, old school, hitting the manuscript in the books, editing work with text manuscripts.
Right.
You know, so can you tell a little bit about what you've been doing these past couple of weeks with us?
So lately I've been doing a lot of editing. So right now I'm working on Phoenix Arising, right? So older book was written in the 90s, and we're going back into the book and we're diving in, we're doing the line edits, and we're making sure that everything matches and is ready for publication. And then we've also worked on the digital marketing manual, and we've gone through all the editing. I've listed spaces here and there where we should add graphics and photos, and it's been a lot of exciting work that we're working on.
Well, thank you. And, you know, and the work that you're doing is helping us be able to focus on two key projects that we're committed to right about now. One of them is what we're calling the Super Live Producers Training Program. And this is a 12-week program starting on October 18th, where during that 12 weeks, we're basically training people how to do what we do here at Super Livestreams. Now, the key thing is, as this pandemic and as everyone's been quarantined, we've been hit up by so many teachers, doctors, trainers, coaches, professionals, other people who are having to virtualize their businesses. And so what we're realizing is we can't do this all ourselves. So what we're committed to doing now is training folks in how to create effective live streams, web videos, e-learning courses, e-commerce shops, and a variety of products like what we're using. So again, this is the Super Live Producer. So that's one of the projects that we're mentioning. And we have over here the other project that we've been working on for several months, the San Antonio Black International Film Festival, SABIF. Now, SABIF was started by my dear friend, Ada Bobineau, just a couple of years ago. But Ada and I have worked together for many decades since my time at BET. So again, this was a situation where last year Ada had a film festival, had filmmakers and films from all over the world that she showcased there in San Antonio to a live audience with panel discussions, all sorts of dynamic events. A few months ago, she came to us and said, hey, look, guys, I know we have to do this virtually. What can we do? So we assessed and listened to some of her goals, but I also tapped into my background as a filmmaker who in the 90s as an independent filmmaker was going to film festivals. In the 2000s, you know, I had a film that premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival and the independent feature film market, a bunch of the traditional festivals. And in those festivals, I met friends and collaborators. Literally, I met people in the 90s at some of those film festivals who I'm still working with right now. You know, what up, Angela Northington, you know, and all them folks, you know, so as we had to do the SABIF Festival, we knew we wanted to create a situation, not just where we could screen the films, but also situations that allowed networking that kind of simulated what we experienced at those old film festivals. And in those cases, it was the invited filmmakers who had areas and events and situations, opportunities that were presented to them as guests of those festivals. But then also the films were showcased and the panel discussions. So here at SABIF, this October 1st through 4th, we will be launching the film festival with the team here, the amazing team that Ada put together, folks who have been working for many months to bring dozens of great films and filmmakers together. And it is at SABIFF.TV. That's SABIF.TV. You know,
and
so we're going to talk.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because one of the exciting things about going to film festivals in person is that you have the opportunity to network with other people, as well as receive custom VIP rooms, as filmmakers. And with the technical implementation here through the Super Livestreams powered site at sabif.tv, we're able to provide those same benefits to all of the filmmakers. They have their film pages, as you're seeing here. You can vote for these filmmakers right here by clicking your vote, right there. You can see features about their films, articles, get prepared for your red carpet experience as part of the Sabif 2020 Film Festival. And it's all here right in the portal. It is literally taking the physical experience and bringing it now to a virtual digital experience.
So beginning Thursday night, we're really excited. Maya, I want to hear your question, but I'm so excited because we just found out confirmation last night that Danny Glover will be doing a live stream, run by the Super Livestreams team tomorrow as we celebrate filmmaker Charles Burnett's 30th anniversary of his classic film, To Sleep with Anger. So we'll be up there, the Super Livestreams team, hosting this tomorrow night, and that will be at sabif.tv. Oh, I'm sorry, Thursday night. sabif.tv/watch. Yes. And so during that time, we'll have a whole panel discussion that is free for anyone who wants to check it out. I'm sorry, Maya, what is your question?
That's exciting. All of it sounds so incredible. I do want to start talking about dvfilmmaker.com. Can we go into that? I'm really excited to hear about this story.
So it's okay. So here's the thing, as a filmmaker, as an independent media maker who's worked 3 decades in this digital space, the ability for us all to stream together like this in a HD environment, for us to showcase a platform that we built ourselves, for the film festival, that includes chat and video chat and multimedia. All of this is like sci-fi to me, because when we take it back, for me, it actually started right here about 30 years ago.
Wow. And
it was in Washington, D.C. at Black Entertainment Television, where in my early 20s, that's where I first learned broadcast television, and it was there where I was introduced to the world of independent filmmaking. I met folks like Spike Lee, the Hudlin brothers, John Singleton before his movie even first came out, Tupac before his album ever first came out. Those were my BET years. That introduced me to traditional media. However, I fell in love with filmmaking, and so then I had opportunity to produce independent film with one of my homeboys named Daryl Warden. It was a feature film called Detention that we shot on film, back in the mid 90s there in Baltimore, and at the same time, I also wrote and directed my own feature film called Be More Hacks, so I had this experience in the 80s as a young OG, what we call original geek, where I had been introduced to personal computers in the early 80s, way before most folks, so I had a chance as the 80s went on to work in self-publishing. That was one of the first things that went digital in media formats. As we looked at the production of newspapers and magazines and books, that pre-production processes that went digital in the mid 80s, I was right there. And I was self-publishing, and I was making media, and I was helping my dad produce and publish his first one and only self-published book, Phoenix Arising, 30 years ago. In fact, Maya, it will be 30 years ago next month exactly that my dad and I wrote that final intro for his book. It was in October of 1990. Wow. So I had all of these different traditional, media experiences, self-publishing, filmmaking, and things like that. But in the early 90s, my brother, Zay Trario Collier, Big Zay, he was a student at Cornell University. And he came home one year telling me about 2 things that were completely fascinating. One was called the internet. It was a brand new thing. Yeah. In around 1993, Zay came home from Cornell, said, Duran, in fact, he took me to Morgan State University and put me on a computer, and he showed me the MTV website. That was the very first website I ever saw on the internet. But then he also showed me a technology called See You, See Me. So See You, See Me, which stands for Cornell University, was developed right there where Zay was a student. Zay was in those labs as this software was being developed. So this was one of the earliest, what we're doing right now, this teleconferencing, this multiple channels and multiple inputs, it all started with these little tiny black and white screens that moved like old animated pictures, back in the day. So when Zay showed me that, I saw with my broadcast and filmmaking eyes the potential, and this was again in 1993, 94, the potential for us to use this same technology as See You, See Me to one day transmit our movies or videos or other forms of communication. However, at that particular time in the 90s, there were no commercial applications of streaming technology except for adult websites. So right there in 1995, I said, and this is a website called Wayback Machine. For people who don't know, you can go to archive.org and go to the Wayback Machine, and especially documentary filmmakers. You go to the Wayback Machine, you enter a URL, and you can find digital history going back to the early 90s. And again, being a digital OG, I've got mad digital trails out here. So one of them is, I set up this website, seduceme.com. In 1994, there was 0 commercial applications of web streaming except for adult, like you see right here. I invested $3,000. I set up the website, coded it myself, and I found a software provider that would provide a video chat program, white labeled as my own product. I put up this website, and in 30 days, I made back that $3,000. And for the next 2 years, generated thousands of dollars with this website. However, I had a moral conundrum because I have 5 sisters, 4 of them younger than me. I was like, I'm not going to be sitting up here. I'm not trying to be, the Black Hugh Hefner and getting rich off of porn. And again, and this is an important thing. My son is listening to this, and it's an important thing. There are choices and opportunities that have existed in perpetuity all through time. There are some opportunities that we can always choose from. Now, when you're young and attractive, there's a whole lot of them that are out there with whom you can choose to do fast money, fast hustle, quick this or quick that. However, my parents and grandparents always told us, if something comes fast and easy, don't trust it. So for me, that was my situation with seduceme.com. I was like, nope, okay, I'm good. I learned the technology, and now let me figure out how to transmute this into something else. So it just so happened, though, around that same time, there were other people who were beginning to see. Now we're talking about the mid to late 90s. There were other people who were beginning to see, yes, we can use this teleconferencing technology. We can use these digital tools to create and distribute our own media. So with that philosophy of mine, combining my broadcast experience, my indie filmmaking experience, my computer experience, my web streaming experience, in 1998, I self-published a website called DV Filmmaker. And it started, now they would call it a blog. As you look at this website, that's what it was. I had a little newsletter where I was distributing and sharing tips. I had breakdowns, frequently asked questions. And now this right here is DV Filmmaker's Handbook. I turned my little newsletters chapter by chapter into a book. And I wrote and self-published that book, going back into my own publishing technology. Back experience, and going back into what I saw from the independent rappers coming there through BET and the independent filmmakers. It was saying, don't wait for anyone else to authorize your next move.
Absolutely. And it's an interesting experience because I know about the journey of the book. Can you tell them a bit about what happened to the book, like the path it took and what technologies came about as a result of it?
So nowadays there's a concept there's a concept in e-commerce called growth hacking. And growth hacking is the idea of using low cost, readily available tools to rapidly grow and expand your business. So here we are, October 1998. I have all this experience, and I have this idea. I've been writing notes for this book for months, and so finally I had written, let me backtrack real quick. I had written a book on how to build and sell adult websites. Since I said I didn't want to be in an adult website anymore, I had written a book about that. And I was halfway through it. And one of our family friends said, Maxie, I don't think God gave you those writing talents to teach people how to put up porn websites. And I stopped the book midway. But fortunately, that technology for that was the same as what we needed to create and distribute the videos, our independent movies and stuff. So I had all these notes. And in October 98, one of my friends, my late friends who just passed away in December, Sook Meat, rest in peace, came and visited from Hawaii. And she stayed in LA with me for 6 weeks and said, Maxie, finish this book. And she did graphics and she did editing and she did layout. And in 6 weeks, we turned that manuscript into a finished book and went to Kinko's and started copying it and selling it. And because of this website, by the time the book came out, I already had $2,000 worth of orders. So I learned something else then about deadlines and the pressure to complete things when projects are already in motion, versus waiting. Right. So to expedite, because I know we're short on time, I self-published the book, I put it out, and I just started selling copies, and they started selling. And I started meeting filmmakers from all over the world, and eventually this company, by the next spring, just 5 months later, this company, iFilm was the earliest version of YouTube. iFilm was the first company to receive venture funding for a commercial web portal. Big shout to Roger Raderman and all the folks at iFilm. They had the first venture capitally funded commercial portal attempting to digitize and distribute and monetize web videos. So Kevin Winterfield saw my book and was on my emailing list, and he got a copy of the Digital Filmmaking Handbook, and he took it to Roger Raderman. And together they decided that they were going to license my book. And that book became the iFilm Digital Video Filmmakers Handbook, and was re-released in 2001, 2.5 years after I first wrote it and started self-publishing it. However, the technology I wrote about in 1998 had only advanced closer to what I was writing about in the book. So through iFilm, I get up there to Silicon Valley for the first time. And this is during the first .com venture bubble. So there's money just popping and flowing all through that city. I got fantastic licensing deals and terms and everything. So now here I am. I had just spent the past decade in DC at BET, learning the entertainment and television business. And I'm soul brother number one, usually what I call the only brother in the room at most of these meetings that I was there when I was up in Silicon Valley. And I had an opportunity to realize how the entrepreneurial spirit that I was seeing amongst those Silicon Valley entrepreneurs paralleled completely with what I was seeing with Master P, Sean Diddy Combs, Jay Prince from Rap-A-Lot Records, the late Andre Harrell, and all these music and entertainment entrepreneurs who were coming through BET. I saw like stereo left and right speakers that these guys and with the vision were so similar, And out of seeing that, I had the idea to do this documentary called Paper Chasers. Paper Chasers is a documentary on hip hop entrepreneurship. Oh, let me just say real quick that even there in that time in the early 2000s, I was attempting to build communities of Black filmmakers around using this technology. So I partnered with my friend Ada Babino, and we did a little prototype for blackfilmmakers.net. However, at that time, for all these sites, iFilm, Black filmmakers, all the ones that were trying to commercialize video consumer technology, it wasn't time. There was not a big enough audiences yet who having the access to technology. It was too costly for us to encode and to store and to serve these videos and things. So a lot of those early video projects from the late 90s and early 2000s, they just became experiments. So with Paper Chasers, by the time that I saw the parallel between the Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and the music and entertainment entrepreneurs, I decided that I wanted to do a documentary driving across the country and going and taking a chance to sit down and talk with some of these entrepreneurs and learn what was driving them, what was their motivations, how they were building their businesses, their techniques. Paper Chasers started off as just one idea that I had. And even that time, we didn't have mobile phones where we could walk around with selfies and stuff. I had a little tiny DV camera that shot many DVs. And I would turn that monitor around and film myself talking and going to meetings and stuff. And everybody would look at me, they'd back away. They look at you like you were a threat. So when we look at this world now of social media activism, where everyone has a phone, where they can pull out a phone and document an injustice, like we are seeing so much now, that's what a lot of us were thinking the possibilities back then were of this digital filmmaking. It wasn't just the idea that we could make fun, entertainment, narrative, low cost, but also that we could tell stories and express perspectives that had not been expressed frequently.
Absolutely. Speaking of stories, just in working with the SABIP, a lot of the filmmakers have some really interesting stories that are happening and going on with the festival. And, with my particular story, is it okay do you mind if I just mentioned what we're talking about with the streams and monetizing the streams?
Wait a minute, dear, let me clarify. Before we go into your part of the story, it's not that I just don't mind. It is essential to tell. It's essential to tell because here's the context. Let me just frame this context, Maya. Okay, by the late 2000s, I had done all these digital technology experiments and making streaming channels and apps and things, on my own. But I had also grown super salty and bitter about show business and because I had been through 10 years, so many years of it.
You saw it all. You saw it all.
The curtains were pulled off.
Yeah.
I had met too many legends who had been broken, exploited, too many people. And so I was on the verge of being a salty brother, and so when Shatara and I got married, I had all this technology that I was developing, but I wasn't interacting with people that much anymore. And then wifey came along.
That's awesome. So and look where we are now.
But I
incredible.
need Shatara to tell her part of the story, because otherwise I could have just been somewhere a salty OG, just talking about I coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yes, it's so true. He had so many different technologically advanced things in the archive. I mean, just to give a perspective, Maxie is an early adopter on so many things, technologically speaking. I mean, he was even thinking about the 3D printer years ago. I mean, way before it became just common discussion and a household item, potentially. So when we got married, he showed me this archive of things that he had, and I was like, what? You have this, you have that, you have this, you have that. And it's really true. So to see some of these things like the Urban Freelancers Job Board come to life, and some of our other channels, including Dr. Videos, and this one he's sharing now, LOL Kids Club. LOL Kids Club is one of our case studies. They are the largest indoor playground in the state of Nevada, and we worked with them on a months-long live streaming campaign and assisted in the promotion of their grand opening, which resulted in over 1,000 people attending the grand opening of this location. But the thing is, it's not by coincidence. There's a strategy and a technique to all of these things, as well as to monetizing the streams when they are released, and also working with the streams to promote existing businesses that are in existence. And I'm not talking about just regular video conferencing. I'm talking about actual broadcast quality streams and broadcast quality live streams like the one we're doing today. So this was LOL. That was a wonderful case study, and we're working with SABIF now, the San Antonio Black International Film Festival. Everyone watching, you are invited to attend. It's this week, Thursday, October 1st through Sunday the 4th. But the story that Maxie was talking about is when we first got married, I participated on the television show Flavor of Love on VH1, produced by MTV Networks. And so everywhere we went, people would say, "Oh, I'm so glad you guys got married. Oh, I'm so glad you're doing these technologically advanced things. But what about the chicken?" And so we realized that even with all of the e-learning courses and materials, that we recognized we had to, meet the viewers where they are with what is on their mind. So we developed a show called Poultry Princess. And when Poultry Princess started here on Amazon, we were receiving 15 cents per viewer hour. And then the rate went to 6 cents per viewer hour. Now it's around 1 cent per viewer hour for the streams. So we tell all of our students and clients, people we work with, okay, so you have these things, but you have to monetize them as well. And so we integrate actual physical merchandise as part of the promotional effort and as well as the business model for the streams. So as you can see here on this page, we have the television series Poultry Princess, but we also have the cookbook, and we can advertise the cookbook in the streams of Poultry Princess, and then fans can actually purchase the cookbook and follow along step by step, and it's an item of merchandise that's in the brand. So it's not just for this brand, but for every brand that we encourage businesses to do, to look at the full model of what they're promoting, what business they're offering, and then what merchandise, companion merchandise, is available. And so I know, you're short on time, so I wanted to make sure that we get this information in. So that's a key piece.
And I need to bridge these things I was saying, Maya. So I had all this technology. I was over here running the Urban Freelancers Agency and pretty much just keeping it myself and just focusing on my social media clients. Shatara and I got married in 2013, and we started seeing this conundrum with her fans just fixating on the thing that great work she had done in the past.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. So then look at this technology I have. Let's dig into this toolbox and see what we got. So we started making very early on, our own, videos and commercials and books and channels. And even then in 2013, we did a Roku channel, a test Roku channel, so what happened is when we got married, Shatara personalized and humanized all this technology, and she became like an interface, literally, interfacing with our customers and other people as the bridges, and so that's what led to our companies. First, our company, New Vista Studios, where we produced all our movies and books together. But our company, Super Livestreams, was born in 2017 as a result of these experiments we were doing with the LOL Kids Club. And at that time in 2017, live streaming could just generate so much substantial page views and impressions for any of our clients, that we began to realize, hey, let's focus on this live streaming as a component of one, production, allowing us to now produce documentaries and shows without running all over the country. That was one of our earliest intentions with Super Live Streams. I never want to do what I did with Paper Chasers, run around the country for 3 years. I never want to do that again. So our earliest idea was, let's use live streaming in order to expedite our production processes, one, and then two, let's use it to build our impressions and opportunities for our clients. So with the LOL Kids Club and with the success that we saw again, we spent months in advance of this. We watched this place be built literally from the ground up. And we had the good fortune of being able to come out and run streams and other things way in advance of it opening. So that by the time it opened, it was lines outside the door. And there was no doubt that our streaming initiatives had helped contribute to that. We helped build story and mystery around the place using live streaming. So our Super Live Streams program, projects and opportunities came out of that, and so then when we got to the we thought that we had found solutions when we first got to the Amazon video with Poultry Princess, because we were like, okay, great. We have all these technologies that are working for us to help reduce the cost of our productions. We're able to make more. And we're now through Amazon video, we're able to get it out to the world and not have anyone control our stuff. Great, let's run with that. So we started these campaigns of producing all this content. But then in the same time frame, Amazon started dropping those dollars down. First from 15 cents. Then it was 6 cents. Then now it's 1 cent per viewer hour, meaning if a viewer watches 1 hour of our content on Amazon Prime, we get 1 cent.
And I
You
do
know,
want to encourage people to continue to work with Amazon, because when they do their distribution, they do them every month regularly. And you just have to be strategic about
yes.
if you have the stream, you have to have the companion merchandise. And perhaps you have t-shirts to go along with that. Or we have the other book. There's the digital, the current there's another digital book that we have that is on Amazon right now. The My Documentary Development Journal. So Amazon is a wonderful merchandise partner to accompany your streams. We want you to realize that you know the numbers and the monetization that's available for both the streams and the merchandise.
See how much of a people person my wonderful wifey is. Nice and politically correct.
It seems as though you two were meant to meet each other, because you guys work so well together. Shatar, you really truly are the bridge to that gap. Now we're here. So I want to start, of course, I want to dive into the channels that you guys have created. First, with the Docs and Reality TV. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the background and what you're working on with that one.
Dear, would you like
Yes, Maxie mentioned that we started our very first Roku channel back in 2013. However, the technology has come such a long way in this amount of time. So the Documentary and Reality TV channel is at docsandreality.tv. There you can watch movies, you can play games, you can actually stream full movies right there on your phone from wherever you are. We have podcasts and books, and we make a conscious effort to make it a very enjoyable viewer experience when you go, so that you can sit and relax and watch the programming. So we also have Black Reflections TV. And would you like to talk about Black Reflections TV and its origins?
Yes, and again, Maya, let's put this into context. That when we got married, Shatar was known all over for the wonderful character Hadi that she played on one of the pioneering shows, Flavor of Love. But as I learned in the Paper Chasers years, and as I tell every artist nowadays, we all have to basically be hyphenates. Once upon a time, you could just be a singer, you could just be a filmmaker. You could just be an actor. You could just be an author. However, in this era of the digital media production tools being in everyone's hands, and in the era of the dollars just dropping in all of these media formats, we have to hustle. We have to strategize. We have to monetize more efficiently and more pinpoint than ever. So think how dope it is for Shatar to be on a pioneering reality TV show, Flavor of Love, to go ahead and create her own reality cooking show, Poultry Princess. And now she co-owns a reality TV channel, and there's thousands of people watching the channel, every day. So the idea that using these digital tools, now we're not just content creators, but we can be platform owners and creators as we need to. Because what we're realizing as we watch all of these television shows and programs, like people getting famous on Instagram for their interviews and for their shows and their music competitions and things. But what do you own from that? What do you own from the likes, the views, and all of that attention that may be generated on someone else's platform? Do you own an email from it? Do you own any customer data from it? Or are you just building someone else's brand on someone else's platform? And I heard the perfect term for it a few years ago. It's called digital sharecropping. It's the idea that we're giving all this content to platforms and helping build up the platforms, and we're getting nothing from it. So what we're advocating and what we're teaching people is to, one, repurpose your old content. Whether it's old books, old movies. I have friends who are filmmakers who shot amazing films in the 80s and 90s on 16 and 35 millimeter film. And I tell them, you know what? Some of that old footage that you have of Baltimore shot on 35 millimeters, you may be able to license out to CNN for 90 seconds and make more money than you've ever made in 20 or 30 years of having that footage. We know from experience. So by the time it came, we realized that we couldn't count on the distributors. We couldn't have bottlenecks. We couldn't be busting our asses to make this media only to hand it over to people and have zero control over the distribution and monetization of it. So about 3 years ago, when we built Super Live Streams and committed to Super Live Streams, we said, one, We're going to teach other people how to use these tools for their businesses.
Yes.
And that became our agency. And two, we're going to apply these tools ourselves for our own careers. So we launched a documentary reality TV channel on Roku. It has about 50,000 plus viewers who've installed the app. On Amazon, it has over 18,000. And again, this is our platform. We can put content up, take it down, sell the ads, monetize it on our terms. So the backstory for Black Reflections is way back in the 80s when I was first getting into technology. We were doing the self-publishing. I had the idea, thanks to Chuck D and Boogie Down Production, on Poor Righteous Teachers and all the OG rappers that were teaching us young bucks about our lost historical and cultural knowledge. So when I hear the young folks talking nowadays about being woke, this OG's been woke since the 80s, And so my publication, it was a reflection of my wokeness at the time as a teenager, was Black Reflections magazine. And it was in that magazine that I began to share articles about lost history and essays from my father's book, things that I was writing, things I was hearing in lyrics about the lost poets and the different people, so Black Reflections was a magazine that existed from 1987 to 1990. So when we committed to doing our movies on our OTT channels, Black Reflections was one of the first things I turned back to. I wanted to create a place for the old movies that were playing with my dad and my mom and my grandparents in the background, the old DVDs and VHS movies. I wanted to go, and here's the thing. Some of these are quote unquote Black exploitation movies, but I have to put this in the context of our parents and grandparents who had limited exposure in media that reflected African or Afrocentric culture and experiences. So the nostalgia that I feel for watching and seeing some of these old movies ties back to the experiences of my parents, but also it's also a home for me to finally put my own movies on our own terms.
So exciting. Yes.
Once again.
Absolutely. And we have a documentary and reality TV channel. We have the Black Reflections TV channel. We have Black Gospel TV channel, one of our new emerging channels, All Women TV. And we have others as well. And so Dr. Videos TV, you can visit drvideos.tv. So we make a point to, now that we've learned this technology, to not just keep this information to ourselves, but to be able to teach other people this information and share the tools and resources so that you can produce live streams, broadcast quality productions that you're proud of to promote your businesses. And I know that Maya has a hard wrap out in just a few minutes, but I wanted to make sure that we get a chance to talk about this.
I have to say a little bit about Dr. Videos TV, and I appreciate your time, Maya. With my dad being a psychiatrist, my late father having been a psychiatrist, with my stepmother being a dentist, with my mother-in-law now being a psychiatrist, I've been the chief technical officer for medical physicians since my teenage years. I install computers in my dad's office and all these things. So over these years, I have constantly communicated to family members and friends who are close about the importance of technology in health. My dad outlined a digital blood pressure meter in the 80s. He spec'd out that idea. So the circle was, I would learn the technology. Pops and I would talk about it, and he'd figure applications for things. So drvideos.tv is the manifestation on that. It's about the idea. What we realized and saw with our physician clients is so many of them are afraid of social media and technology, especially the ones over 35. Right. And they have a particular anxiety about it. Some of them believe that if they pretend if they don't make any social media accounts, if they don't do anything, then no one will find out about them. Not knowing that people are on Yelp and other directories talking about them.
We can't ignore it. We can't ignore it. It's everywhere.
Especially in a pandemic, because that's what's happened in the past few months. As we first built out Dr. Videos a few years ago. But as we begin to see the volumes of disinformation that are out there relating to health and medical issues, we realize what a better thing than to have a platform where medical physicians can create their own content and go directly to consumers without any editorial intrusion. So Dr. Videos is created towards that intention as a platform for medical doctors and physicians to promote and create their own content and get it out directly to consumers, along with a Roku and OTT channels to help distribute that information. So if my pops was here right now, we'd be having his shows right on here. So yes, I just had to say that a little bit. And then lastly, I want to bring it back to SABIF, because this event is happening this week, the San Antonio Black International Film Festival. You can visit sabiff.tv, SABIFF.tv, and you can see dozens of amazing films by Black filmmakers and filmmakers from around the globe. You can come here and buy your tickets. Tickets are very affordable. You have 1-day passes for the tickets as well as 2-day passes. You get full on-demand access as well as participation in some wonderful filmmaker discussions and live sessions as well. And that's at sabiff.tv. And Samaya, thank you for this time here.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Shatar, Maxie, thank you so much for talking about your journeys, the history of Super Livestreams, talking about the channels, talking about the projects that we can look forward to, and this course as well. Thank you so much. I've learned so much from the both of you, just knowing you only for a month and a half, 2 months. It's incredible.
Thank you. Your contributions are making a difference because of what you're doing on our books is why we're able to focus on these other things right here. So thank you for that.
Yes, great job.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I am Maya Constantino. I just spoke with Shatar and Maxie Collier. Thank you so much. I am a senior editor and freelance writer, so you can catch me on LinkedIn or Maya Constantino. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.